Good morning, YouTube. Wanted to go over this little fine 22 pistol here. This is a Colt Woodsman. And I've had this gun now for going on 20 years. And this gun belonged to my grandfather. He bought it in 1950, and that's the year it was made. These guns were a long time production of Colt. They started in 1915, and they ended in, I believe 77 or 78. And they were made in 3 different series. And the first series, most of the early guns were before they actually had, they were called pre-Woodsmans. And they only took standard velocity ammunition. If you have one of those, you have to check your serial number to make sure your springs can handle either the standard velocities and keeping them at that, or if they can take high velocity. The second series, which is what this gun is here, I believe came out in 1947, but do not quote me on that. And the most noticeable difference between the first series and the second series is the magazine release. This was a 1911 style magazine release. And let me do that there. You can see how the slide opens, and this will lock on it with the last round. It'll lock on the magazine. I have the safety on. There's your magazine. This is a, they are all 10-round magazines. And only the second series had that magazine release. After so many years, Colt went back to having the magazine release on the butt, just like they did in the first series. And you give it a couple different configurations, and that was the way through the whole series. There was a 6-inch barrel version, which was they had a sport and a target. And these are actually a 4.5-inch barrel. That's what this is. This is the sport model. There was a target model that had a full barrel. The barrel comes down to here, and it was a match gun. And they are very desirable. You do not see a lot of them in the second series match guns. The second series is the most desirable because of the magazine release, and it's so much better a feel to it. These guns, though, are great little guns. You still see them. You can find them on Gunbroker for a reasonable amount of money. If you're looking for a 22 to go out to plink with, to hunt with. This gun here, my grandfather always told me, had killed more game than any of his other guns combined. And I've taken a lot of game with this gun myself over the years. I've had more revolvers and more 22s than I can recall. And this gun, accuracy-wise, has just consistently beat every one of them. And it just works. It's a simple little 22, and they work. And as you can see by the fact that the finishes, it has been worn off. This gun was carried an awful lot over the years. And it just works. And it's one of those guns that Colt probably never should have stopped making. And towards the end, they started making an alternative. They made a couple cheaper guns. A Huntsman and a Challenger. They had less elaborate sights. They weren't quite as nice a looking gun, but they're basically the same gun with little less frills to it. They're only $200-300. I've seen them online, and they're probably the nicest 22s you can have. Everyone I've ever known to have one has all said they are very accurate. I know this is stunning when it comes to accuracy. And you hear that a lot with them. But they are just one of those guns that a lot of people who know them collect them, but you can still use them for what they were intended. Target practice, hunting, plinking, whatever. That's what they were meant for. That's why they call them a Woodsman for a reason. They were meant to be a companion gun. They were meant to be taken out, and they were meant to be used. And that's what this gun has always been done. And you can see that the sights are a nice adjustable sight. I mean, and they are. They're a very fine sight when they're adjusted. And if you do your part, this gun will take. I've taken game out to 40-50 yards with it with surprising accuracy. You would never expect it from a little pistol like this, but they are known for it. So if you see one of these around, most time if you see one, they're going to be on the bottom shelf of a gun shop. You don't see them really. You don't see guys taking them seriously. They want newer 22s, polymer frame. I mean, and this gun is bulky. This gun's got some weight to it, but it has such a nice feel. And they're all the same, pretty much how they feel, just different with the magazine release. But they have the same fit, they have the same feel. They are just such a nice gun to shoot, to own, to carry around. So look into one. If you see them on the bottom shelf of a gun shop or even the top shelf, they're usually, depending on the variant, I always tell people to check and look and see what the book value is, because different ones are worth different amount of money. And take a look at one. If you can find one, magazines are available online, secondhand. I see them all the time. And what most people don't understand is what this little clip here is for. That is for a grip extender. Colt had grip adapters with this gun to fill out the grip, kind of like the new Smith & Wesson M&Ps. This one, my grandfather didn't have any with it. At least if he didn't, he lost them at one point in time. But it's fine. It works the way it is. Someday I might get one or two for it. I don't know. Maybe. But that's what that's for if you see it. So go out and look for one of these. They're a nice little 22. You can't ask for a better gun for a 22 pistol. At least not one that's used. I'd say the only gun that comes close to this is maybe the Ruger. And that's about it when it comes to a semi-auto 22. I've seen a lot of other ones. They don't seem to fit and have the finish and the handling that these guns do. So go out and look for one if you see one. And if you're looking for a 22, don't pass these up. Have a good day, all.